The storm howled across the peaks of Durnak 5 like a wild, feral thing. Wind lashed the jagged rocks, dragging sheets of ash and frozen dust across the ridge. The planet never slept, never offered silence, except through the lens of Captain Elara Vance's rifle scope. Inside her ghillie shelter, camouflaged with heat-dispersing fibers and rock-patterned shielding, Elara was a heartbeat away from stillness. She exhaled slowly. "Target acquired," she murmured into the mic. No one responded. No one ever did. Project Widowmaker wasn't about teams. It was about ghosts. Through the scope, a Rex Hunter, 2.4 meters tall, armor etched with ritual kill markings. Heat signature pulsing orange, 7 heart clusters, 8 lungs. Modified. Faster. Smarter. Still mortal. Wind 3 clicks southwest. Terrain echo minimal. Adjusting 1 notch. Her finger tightened against the trigger. A pause. The alien paused too, turning its head slightly, as if sensing. Crack. The rifle's silenced shot traveled faster than thunder. The Vrex's head jerked once. Then dropped. No scream. No drama. Just the heavy thud of a body collapsing into alien soil. Elara didn't move. She watched through the scope for 20 more seconds. Movement? None. One hand tapped the side of her visor. Hunter 3 neutralized. Uploading biometric scan. The data streamed. Heart rhythms. Neural frequency. Muscle voltage. Vrex Command would know. They'd feel it in their bones. She smiled without joy. 3 down. 2 to go. 2 hours later, Elara crouched beneath an overhang of black basalt, fingers wrapped around a protein bar that tasted like old cardboard. Her rifle leaned nearby, disassembled camo wrap damp from snow melt. She chewed slowly, watching the storm shift across the valley. "Ghost, this is Widowmaker. Confirming uplink to orbital relay. Package delivered." Her voice was even, almost bored. A crackle. Then a male voice answered, synthetic, flattened through 5 filters. "Acknowledged. Intercept shows sudden broadcast silence from Vrex relay. Your kill hit command-grade nerves." She flicked a fleck of ash from her sleeve. "Good. You're escalating. Command says pull back. I say escalation's working." A pause. Then, "Command will review." The line went dead. Elara leaned back and closed her eyes, the sounds of wind and creaking metal armor playing back in her head like a memory. 3 of their elite dead in 2 weeks. The last one had tried flanking her at night. It had left behind exactly 1 claw, and a scorched patch of soil the size of a gunship. But she knew better than to gloat. The Vrex were learning. Evolving. They weren't just sending beasts anymore. The next day, she heard the shuttle long before she saw it, deep, resonating thrums like war drums echoing off the cliffs. She lay flat, body buried under camouflage, breath measured. A black triangular silhouette pierced through the cloud line. No insignia. No escort. It hovered, descended, then vanished behind the ridge. Elara adjusted her scope, focusing beyond the rise. What emerged wasn't just another hunter. Raldar. His armor was old, not worn, but ceremonial. Deep violet plating, etched in bone, scarred from battles that had ended civilizations. His movement was deliberate, slow, and terrifying in its silence. She whispered to herself. They sent the apex. No words from command. No warnings. Just him. She didn't aim. Not yet. She watched. Raldar knelt over the corpse of the last hunter. He ran clawed fingers across the wound, touching the blood, sniffing the air. Then, without turning, he spoke. "I see you, human." Elara froze. There was no microphone. No translator. No comms uplink. His voice vibrated through her skull like a whisper behind her eyes. "You believe shadows protect you. But your shadow has a scent. A pulse." She didn't respond. She disengaged the scope and began crawling backward, quiet, precise, untraceable. "You're not like the others," he continued. "You don't scream. You don't boast. That makes you fascinating. She reached a ridge edge and slid silently into the lower crevice. Her mind raced. How did he pierce her visual cloak? New optics? Psionics? Or was he baiting her? Your kind thinks killing creates legends. But legends fade. She reached her secondary shelter. Hidden beneath stone, shielded from scan waves. Inside, she activated a pulse beacon, jamming low-orbit scans for 10 minutes. Then she sat in the dark, listening to her heart slow. Raldar wasn't here to hunt. He was here to study her. Night fell. The storms returned. Elara accessed her mission logs and pulled up prior hunter data. Each kill had come faster than the last. But each target had also been different. Smarter. Better shielded. Designed for her. They weren't just trying to remove a sniper. They were training their future warriors on her. A chill crawled down her spine, more from realization than the sub-zero cold. She uploaded the analysis to command. Recommend blackout of further strikes. They're baiting the Widowmaker. Mapping trajectory. Pattern analysis suggests backtrace of firing vectors. She didn't expect a reply. And none came. At dawn, she relocated again, new vantage, 200 meters higher, hidden beneath the bones of a collapsed mining tower. Her scope scanned low. No movement. Then a flash. Not from Raldar. From the sky. A Terran drone, hers, plummeting, hacked, gutted, trailing wires like entrails. It smashed into the ground and exploded, scattering black shards across the valley. The message was clear. They'd turned her tools against her. For the first time in weeks, Elara felt her pulse spike. Raldar's voice drifted through the wind again. No transmission. No sound. Soon, Widowmaker, you'll fire a shot that echoes home. She gritted her teeth. Only one of us leaves this planet. And it won't be you. A pause. Then a low, amused reply. We shall see. The snow cracked beneath her boots as Elara Vance climbed higher through the fog-choked slope. Dernak V's atmosphere bit into her skin, even beneath her thermal armor, but she welcomed it. Pain reminded her she was still human. She kept moving. Behind her, the storm swallowed tracks within minutes. Good. She needed to vanish again. The Widowmaker rifle, disassembled and sealed tight, clung to her back. Her sidearm sat cold against her thigh. Not that it would matter against him. Raldar wasn't tracking her. He was predicting her. And that meant he had to die. She reached her new nest, a jagged outcrop of obsidian and ancient alien tech, long abandoned and half buried in snow. It had the perfect view of the lower valley where the next hunter would likely arrive. If command refused to pull her out, then she'd finish what she started. Elara set up fast. Biometric scrambler. Optic shroud. Thermal netting. She laid prone and pulled up her last scan of the fourth Vrex hunter. Incoming. Armored, leaner than the last. Moving fast, too fast. She zoomed in. No armor plating. No markings. No weapon. Elara to Ghost Relay. She whispered. We have a runner. No standard gear. Target looks unarmed. No answer. The Vrex bolted up the slope, weaving erratic. Its path wasn't tactical. It was desperate. Then it stopped, straight in her line of sight. Elara's finger hovered. Something was wrong. The hunter raised its hands. And screamed. Not with its mouth, but through every frequency. A sonic pulse hit her ears, her skull, her chest. She gritted her teeth as her vision blurred. Nerves danced. Her heartbeat staggered. EMP, no, it's acoustic! She shouted to no one. The scream stopped. And from behind her, Raldar spoke. You hear them now, don't you? She rolled sidearm up. Nothing there. Just rocks. Snow. Wind. But his voice remained, deep, calm, too close. I gave them fear. Just like you. She activated her emergency override. Dampeners around her helmet blazed blue, muting residual frequencies. Her head cleared, nausea fading. The unarmed hunter below collapsed, convulsing. Its scream had overloaded its own system. A sacrificial drone. A test. Her hand trembled slightly as she reassembled the Widowmaker rifle. She locked the final bolt and took aim, not at the corpse, but the shadow in the ridge behind it. "Found you," she said. A flicker, movement too precise to be wildlife. She fired. Crack. Nothing dropped. She adjusted scope. Blood. A smear on stone. But no body. She cursed. Raldar bled. But he wasn't finished. She waited. Seconds. Minutes. A full hour. Her vitals slowed again, rifle motionless. Then her uplink blinked, finally, a signal. Command chimed in. "Satellite sweep confirms one heat source approaching your perimeter. Intercept expected in 20 minutes. "No intercept," she said flatly. "It's him. He's already here." A pause. "Define here." She shut the comm. They didn't get it. This wasn't a hunt anymore. This was a war of minds. Elara triggered her decoys. 3 thermal ghosts darted through the valley, programmable drones mimicking body heat and movement. She guided one near the corpse. It didn't get far. A blur of violet metal and muscle exploded from the rocks, cleaving the drone in half midair with a single blade. Raldar didn't hesitate. He tracked the second drone and snapped it from the sky with a thrown spike. Only the third decoy, the farthest, survived long enough to lure him toward a cave mouth. She activated Trap 6. A boom rocked the ridge. Snow and rock collapsed into the gorge, swallowing the cave entrance, and Raldar with it. For 10 full seconds silence returned. Then the dust settled. A figure climbed from the rubble, armor scorched, limping, but alive. Raldar looked up toward her nest. And smiled. Elara didn't fire. She just whispered, "He's enjoying this." She relocated fast, racing across a broken ice bridge toward a hidden cliffside cache. As she moved, she accessed Project Widowmaker's restricted archive. She needed options. Only one protocol stood out. Widowpulse. A one-time burst of microfield interference. Wipes all scans. 1 hour of full invisibility, to satellites, to motion sensors, even psionic probes. But it also fried every system she wore. She'd be blind, deaf, and weaponless for 60 minutes. If Raldar found her then. No. She couldn't use it yet. Not until she was cornered. She reached the cache and keyed in her signature. The wall opened with a hiss. Inside, spare armor, ammo, field rations, and an old railgun. Not just any railgun, her brother's. Heavy. Slow to reload. But it could punch through a dropship's hull from 2 kilometers out. She ran a hand over the barrel. Cold. Familiar. Elara's breath fogged the air. She hadn't spoken his name aloud in 3 years. "Thanks, Sam." She slung it across her back and moved out. Night fell again. The storms returned, violent, howling, erasing all sign of battle. Elara crouched beneath a derelict landing pylon and watched the valley below through a low-light visor. No movement. But she knew he was out there. Watching. Listening. Waiting for her next shot. That was the game now. He wasn't trying to kill her. He was trying to map her behavior. Every time she fired, he learned. Every time she moved, he adapted. She was the apex predator, in a cage made of her own legend. She keyed in a short-range message to command. Message. "They're not trying to kill me. They're studying me. Every move I make adds to their data. Every kill I confirm trains them further. I recommend Black Flag Protocol. Cut comms. End strike authorization. This isn't about territory anymore. This is about fear." She didn't wait for a reply. Instead, she pulled out her brother's railgun. And aimed it not at a hunter, but at herself. Not to fire. To fake her own death. She'd let them believe she was dead. And from the shadows? She'd start the real war. The false death needed to look real. No margin for doubt. Elara Vance lay beneath a layer of crushed ice and scorched thermal fabric, blood packs torn open over the site, fragments of her armor scattered. Her railgun, Sam's railgun, was planted at the center, barrel bent, casing cracked. A perfect scene. A fire signal flared from the ridge above. It climbed into the dark clouds, faint but readable to the satellites. A kill beacon. Widowmaker presumed Kia. Let them believe it. She slipped away under a storm front, moving like a ghost across the tundra. 30 kilometers southeast, she entered a zone no hunter had ever reached, Grave Point. The terrain was madness. Craters pocked the land from an ancient orbital strike. Metallic ash clung to the air. Electromagnetic pulses still flickered across the ground like dying embers. But Elara knew the patterns. She trained here once, when she was still part of a team. She wasn't now. She activated the Widow Pulse. For 1 hour, she became a void. No thermal reading. No pulse signature. No tech trail. A walking blank space in every spectrum. She powered down her HUD, stripped her comm, even disabled her optic filter. The silence was absolute. She didn't panic. She waited. She watched. 15 minutes in, she saw the silhouette. Raldar. He moved along the crater edge with unnatural grace, wounded leg dragging but not slowing him. He wasn't hunting. He was observing. Behind him, 3 drones hovered, Rex designed, likely reverse-engineered from Terran wreckage. Each scanned different wavelengths, each mapped different paths. But they didn't see her. Not now. From beneath a scorched boulder, she slowly opened the railgun's case. It was the only weapon not tied to Widowmaker's digital signature. Manual targeting. No AI. No tracking. It had one job, and giants. She loaded a tungsten spike the length of her forearm. The magnetic chamber hummed quietly. Raldar stopped. He looked straight toward her position. No sound. No signal. Just instinct. Then he did something strange. He knelt. And began to dig. Fingers tore through ash and broken rock until he unearthed something. A helmet. Old. Terran. Cracked and faded. He held it in his hands like an offering. "This was your brother's," he said aloud. Elara's throat tightened. "I remember the shot," he continued, staring into the helmet's shattered visor. "He tried to protect a diplomat. Didn't hesitate. But he missed the second hunter. A child's mistake." Her finger hovered over the trigger. "One flaw, Widowmaker. Every legend has one." She didn't fire. "Not yet." Raldar rose. "We don't fear you. Not really. We fear what you force us to become. What you awaken in us." He turned toward the crater's edge and began ascending. Behind him, the drones shifted formation. One peeled off, heading toward the false death site. They were verifying. She had minutes. She recalibrated the railgun manually, adjusting for wind drag, EM flicker, slope curvature. No autocorrection. No second chance. She exhaled. And pulled the trigger. The railgun released a thunder crack that shattered the quiet. The spike ripped the sky in two. Raldar twisted. Too slow. The round struck his shoulder, exploded through armor, and sent him cartwheeling down the slope. The drones scattered. She moved instantly, reassembling her gear, ignoring the ache in her ribs, eyes tracking movement through the scope again. Raldar was down, but not dead. He clawed at the rocks, pushing himself upright. Black ichor poured from his wound. She watched him lean against the stone, breathing hard, helmet cracked. Then he laughed. Guttural. Pained. Genuine. "You are still human after all." She didn't respond. She didn't move. He looked straight toward her, though she knew he couldn't see. "Not with Widow Pulse active." "Now I understand," he said, wheezing. "You don't kill to win. You kill to warn." He stumbled, limped forward, dragging one leg. "We tried to study you. Replicate your tactics. But humans don't follow patterns. You're irrational. Brutal. And terrifying. He collapsed beside the crater. Still alive. Barely. Elara activated her beacon. This time, a private signal, short-range, burst to her buried evac drone, now hidden beneath Gravepoint's outer shelf. A ping replied. Extraction inbound in 30 minutes. She had time. She descended the ridge, slow, rifle slung, sidearm drawn. When she reached Raldar, his eyes opened. You finally come close, he rasped. To gloat? To finish it, she said. He chuckled. You won't. Why not? Because dead. I become proof. She hesitated. You shoot me now, he said, and the Vrex send 1,000 more. To study every breath you ever took. She raised the pistol. That's the idea. He smiled. Then do it. Silence stretched between them. Then she lowered the weapon. No. He blinked. You'll live, Raldar. And you'll crawl home. And you'll tell them this. The next time they send hunters, Earth won't send a sniper. He grimaced. What then? We send someone worse. She turned and walked away, into the haze. Raldar watched her vanish, blood pooling beneath him, and understood the truth. Terror wasn't a weapon. It was a message. And she had delivered it. The drone arrived under full blackout protocol, silent as a whisper, disguised beneath layers of volcanic debris and mineral camouflage. It didn't land. Just hovered. Elara climbed aboard without ceremony, bleeding from a deep gash along her forearm. She didn't wince. She didn't speak. Once inside, she sealed the hatch, powered the jamming field, and collapsed into the seat opposite the viewport. Outside, the world burned softly. Raldar was somewhere down there, alive. Battered. Changed. She watched the wrecked landscape shrink as the drone lifted. Dernak 5 was behind her. But her work wasn't done. Back in orbit, Elara stood before a debrief terminal. Standard process. Record. Archive. Erase. She hit record, cleared her throat once, and began. Mission Widowmaker, final log. A pause. 5 hunters. Confirmed kills 4. Final contact, Raldar. Status, non-lethal resolution, per judgment call. She let the words hang. Terran Command won't like it. But fear doesn't grow from corpses. It grows from witnesses. She leaned back. If we'd killed him, they'd send more. Now they'll hesitate. The screen blinked. Data uploading. Name redacted. Location scrambled. Another pause. She added, recommend immediate blackout on Widowmaker's identity. Full myth protocol. Let the name become legend. Let the galaxy forget I was ever real. She stared at the blank screen. And pressed send. Somewhere far across the galaxy, on the warm moon of Draxrel, the Vrex gathered. The surviving hunters stood silent before the High Warlord. One of them dropped a piece of metal at his feet. It was the broken shell of a Terran railgun round, singed, warped, unmistakable. A messenger bowed. Raldar lives. But he won't return to service. The warlord frowned. Why? He won't speak. He kneels. Every day. At dawn. To what? The messenger hesitated. Then spoke carefully. To the shadow of a woman he never saw. Back aboard the Terran orbital station, Elara changed into civilian gear for the first time in years. Simple. Black. No rank insignia. No rifle. She left the armory. Left the command floor. No handshakes. No fanfare. No one stopped her. As per protocol, her face was already being erased from all logs. Her name purged. She would vanish, by design. And that was the point. Legends didn't need identification. They needed silence. A week later, whispers began circulating among Vrex intelligence operatives. Leaked comms. Altered footage. Slowed down frames of kill shots. A vague outline of a sniper atop a ridge as lightning cracked behind her. They tried to trace her pattern again. They failed. One report stated, Widowmaker is not a person. Widowmaker is a function. A Terran defense algorithm. A ghost weapon. Possibly AI enhanced. No human could react with such precision. Another. Psychological warfare unit. Designed to induce paralysis before engagement. Victims die before they see her. A third. Myths say she speaks before the shot. Always one sentence. Never the same. Always heard by the target, and no one else. None of it was true. All of it was useful. Elara moved to a small outpost on the outer rim. Unnamed planet. No military tags. Just a bar, a market, and a sky she could stare at without satellites tracking her breath. At night she sat outside her quarters with an old Terran scope, no rifle, just a lens, and watched the stars shift. Once a traveler passed through, drunk and loud. He boasted about Rex hunters, how Earth would fall within decades. She just listened. Then asked, calm as a whisper, "Ever heard of the Widowmaker?" The man froze. Blinked. Swallowed. "Sure," he said quickly. "Everyone has. No one knows who it is. Might be a hoax." "Maybe," she said. And smiled. Elsewhere, in a hidden Terran bunker, Command reviewed new Rex deployment data. Fewer incursions. No hunters deployed in sniper zones. The Dominion was shifting tactics. The fear worked. One analyst closed the report and muttered, "She did more with 5 shots than we did with 5 fleets." A general glanced at him. "Who?" The analyst blinked. Realized he didn't remember her name. Only the legend. Elara didn't care if Earth remembered her. The point was, they remembered what she could do. Fear didn't need a face. Or a voice. Or even a bullet. Sometimes, all it needed was a shadow on a ridge, and the silence that followed.